I think we should do this right now. So I didn't want to do rate the super immediately for KOF, right? Not like right off the bat, but I did want to do a somewhat slash like rate the roster slash rate the designs slightly similar to what we did with Guilty Gear, because a lot of characters went through a pretty big gravity change from one game to the next. And that definitely has happened here, where now the characters in the game are the best 3D incarnations of them probably ever in KOF 15. So I think it's just based on essentially like this, right? Like character artwork and design. Who looks good? Who looks better in previous games? Who looks way better now? And of some of the new characters, which ones are actually like relatively awesome? Because a lot of the KOF 14 brand new roster was a bit difficult. That was a bit difficult to get behind some of them, you know what I mean? It's essentially a drip rating, yes. There is 100% a drip rating here that will be going on. So yeah, Shun A. And we're starting off with a great one, right? We have a great hot take character right at the start. Shun A. I call him esports man. And yes, his one pant leg up and cloak and headphones and his tie. I'm gonna say it right now. I think he looks a little bit better. The only thing I feel like this character's missing is a giant bold font like gamer on his back, like gamer. You know, that's the only thing I feel like he's missing. If he had that, it'd be really good. Unfortunately, as like lead pro tag, this is absolutely appealing towards a newer generation of KOF fans, and I get it, but I don't understand it, and I'm terrified by it because I am from a relatively older generation of fighting game fans. So for me, it's a 4 out of 10. A 4 out of 10. Oh man, we're starting off so good. We're gonna be here forever if I give everyone as much screen time as I just gave Shun. Sleepy Boy. A 3 out of 10. I don't even know if I have much to say about Sleepy Boy. It's a 3 out of 10. Benimaru's design is actually perfect in this game. I'm gonna say it right now. I would argue Benimaru looks better in this one than the majority of games that I remember him being in. So I will say Benny is like a solid 8. 8 out of 10. Great looking design for the character in a modern KOF. I don't think it's the coolest looking character by all means, but I think for what he's going for right now, yeah, it's good. This is a good Benny. So Ash's character design is definitely one that has points of contention for a lot of people, especially when Ash was like first introduced. And I hate to say it, that I actually like the old Ash character design better. I hate to say it. I don't like the winter coat Ash. I don't think it's as cool looking as the old one, right? I hate to say it. I think this is like sort of a 5. I just personally feel the old one was a little bit better. I think it looked a little bit cooler. So 5 out of 10. Elizabeth looks great. I don't even know if there's much to say. She's like the most safe. Doesn't look insanely cool, but obviously doesn't look bad. 7 out of 10. She's a safe 7 out of 10. Looks really good. Kukri is not redesigned from 14, barely at all, I don't think. I actually dig this guy's design. Like, I dig the weird edgelord aspect of Kukri. Everything else about him, like, no. Like, when I actually played him, I was like, ugh. Oh, man. Like, the sand thing and all that stuff. Ugh, I don't know if I'm digging this. But I kind of liked it, right? Not to the point that it excuses all the other things. So I'm going to give him, like, also a 7 because of personal reasons, because I wanted a cool edgelord in KOF, but he definitely didn't hit the notes that I was looking to hit. Kyo, oh god. Yes. 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10. Not perfect. It's not perfect. But I think this is probably the best you're gonna get Kyo looking, right? Perfect mixture of like classic Kyo with the new. Iori looks so fucking good. I think Iori's costume in this one is better than his old costume. With like knee belts and stuff. I think this is actually, I think if Sakurai was here, he'd be standing and applauding, is what I'm trying to say. Iori looks better than he ever has before. 10 out of 10. This is actually a dripping out of 10 design. Way better. Chizuru is practically unchanged, so I guess we're just like talking about her in general. I think she's like a 6. I think Chizuru is a cool character, but design-wise is a little almost like specifically meant to be kind of flat, like not to be pushing something crazy in one way or the other. She's pretty. There's nothing really wrong, but I don't feel like it elicits like crazy emotions out of me. It's kind of plain. So 6 out of 10. Oh man. This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me. I have a personal history with K-Dash looking way too try-hard. Like, right? Like, but this is like 20 years ago me, where I feel that K-Dash essentially looks like he's trying a little too hard. However, over time, and as K-Dash has been able to, and him and his design, because this is like pretty much the same thing he's always looked like. They are trying so aggressively to make him cool. He's the Johnny of this game, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but K-Dash is the Johnny of KOF 15 design-wise, and KOF in general, where they're like really trying to make this character as cool as possible. Granted, I still think he's kind of cool. So even with my initial perception to what we're at now, I still give him like an 8. Maybe even like an 8.5. I think K-Dash is actually kind of cool looking now. Oh, Jesus Christ. Maximo, what happened? Maximo is like a 5 out of 10. I don't know what was going on with his face. I don't know what the crazy gorilla sideburns and stuff. I don't know what is going on. The return to Monkey Maxima. I always liked his costume, his like body armor and stuff, but we're talking just in terms of visuals. I think he looks fine if it wasn't for his absolutely insane sideburns. Those are going way further than God ever intended. Whip looks great. I think this is a solid 8 out of 10. Right? Nothing insanely great, but still really good. She's a cool character in this game. She's always been a cool character in general. 8 out of 10. Okay, so here's the thing. We have Isla over here already. Here's my opinion on this. Isla is the counter to Shune, right? And that's pretty obvious because Shune was like the hero guy of the previous game, and Isla is the hero girl of this game. So these characters are like polar opposites, but also like polar similarities, because it's almost like their color designs are almost identical, but not like identical in polar, like different ways. You know what I mean? Where like the way their costumes and the way their visual identity is supposed to like pair with each other in some way. And I think that's like specifically meant to be. However, Isla's cooler, right? She's just better. She definitely screams like that she's the gamer girl and, you know, Shune is the esports gamer dude, but I actually like her. I think she's fine. I don't think it's amazing, but I think she's a solid 8 out of 10. Hydern. Yeah, this is Dragunov before Dragunov was Dragunov. I think he gets a solid 7. He essentially like established this character archetype visually for a lot of fighting games. This is essentially Dragunov before Dragunov was even in the thing. People might recognize Dragunov a bit more because Tekken, you know, is Tekken. I think he's cool. 7 out of 10. Oh man, I'm gonna be making Kotaku articles tomorrow. Get to read those after I talk about this. I think Dolores is really cool looking. I do. And especially from some shots like the hero art of KOF 15, I think she looked super cool. But then we did not see her full design. And yeah, already pretty obvious that KOF is not afraid to get a little skeevy with things, you know? They're really not afraid to have characters be relatively PV in some regards. And of course she's hot, right? She's too sexy. I mean, that's kind of what they're going for. It almost is like, my complaint is that she's too sexy. I think the only other thing is that, and I can't help but erase this out of my head about Dolores, she throws muddle over the place, dude. Like, that's her ability. Her ability is that she throws muddle over the place. Man, like, what is sexy mud? I feel like there was a fine line between making this character look super cool or super hot. And they approached the super hot direction with Dolores. And I do, for me personally, you're always going to get bonus points from me if characters tread down the cool category, right? If they try to make them look super cool. So I think Dolores is about a 7 as well. It, once again, is okay. It's fine, but I feel like I wished it was something more. The game already has Mai, you know? The game's got Mai and Angel. The game has like several characters that are letting it all ride. But you know what? I'm sure people are very happy. That's all I'll say. I think people will be very happy. Characters in this game are all hot. Have you seen the size of Terry's fucking chest? Holy shit, dude. We cannot talk about the unrealistic proportions of all the female characters when this fucking man exists. Absolute total horse shit. Terrence and his huge fucking gun arms and giant ass tank chest. Anyway, Terry looks great. Terry's like arguably a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. The classic design, not altered too much, is literally what it needed to be. So much of it, so much better than I think what he looked in KOF 13. Astronomically better than what he looked like in KOF 14. We have come a very, very long way since Denim Terry. And I'm gonna eat some crow here. I think Andy looks cool in this game. This stupid bitch used to be such a nerd. This character used to be this giant, no Terry having nerd. Like, you're related to Terry Bogard? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. You have to live in the shadow of Terry Bogard for the rest of your life? Andrithal? That's his full name. Andrithal T. Bogarith? But no, he looks kind of cool now. They did it. I think he looks okay. I don't think he looks absolutely incredible, but I think he's like a 7, right? He's gone from being, yes, I have unadulterated Andy bashing, right? It's a unique condition I've acquired from doing the Legacy. I just choose characters to target and then go after him super hard. Andy was on my list. I had to get him. This stupid nerd. Finally looking sort of cool now. 7 out of 10. Joe is just unchanged. And he's the most 6 out of 10 character ever. Joe's the most 6 out of 10 dude ever. There's nothing really wrong with him. There's nothing great about him. He's not middle of the road. I definitely like his design. The only thing that's changed is the design on his pants. You know, he got some new shorts and that's about it. If there's something that's not going to change in KOF, it's going to be friggin' Joe Higashi, you know? And it's the same shit about Ryo. Ryo is the epitome 5 out of 10. You know? This guy is 5 out of 10. I don't even know if there's an argument there. He's just like middle of the road. He shouldn't be given any points in a positive direction or a negative direction. He is absolutely fucking monstrous in this game. Like, this dude's shoulders are the width of a sedan. I don't get it. It shows to show that a lot of characters are meant to be looked at like this, like they fight like this. So when he turns, he just like, it's a fucking whole body stretch. You're like, Jesus Christ. I don't hate Ryo, but I don't personally love him. You know what I mean? He is an absolute monster of a human, but I think Ryo, if he was standing next to me, I'm like, Ryo, you're a 5 out of 10. He's like, that's fair. Personally. I think Bobby gets like a 9. I gotta say, dude, I think Robert looks better than he ever has. Really. I think Robert Garcia in some other games has not looked great, but even though this game doesn't change much about him, I actually think everything about this character is cool and sick looking. He looks like a celebrity, number one. The stash and all the other shit is kind of neat. Like Antonio, Johnny McBloom, Garcia. I think Robert's just cool. I think I have nothing but good things to say about this character's design and the way he fights and shit like that. Really. I'm super cool with it. I think he's like a 9. I actually think he's one of the better designed characters in this whole game. I kind of want to give King a 9 as well, because we're talking about like just the perspective of this character and how she looks in the game now, right? The way she looks now is significantly good. She hasn't changed very much, but we're talking about like her iteration in this game, right? And has it changed very much? No. Has she looked better with the jacket in some situations? I actually do like her with the jacket. In fact, if they gave her the jacket back, I'd argue that might be close to a 10 out of 10 character design. She would actually look like a bouncer, you know what I mean? I think King's just a cool looking character. She is close to being a 10 out of 10 in almost any other game, too. Like, she's a super cool fucking character. And now she just looks better than she kind of ever has because she is rendered better. I don't know. I don't know about Yashiro's design. I might actually say Yashiro might be a kind of a 6 to me. Maybe in like the late 90s, this design might have been a lot better. And maybe into the early 2000s. But I feel like a little bit of it feels a little, maybe slightly outdated now. Something about him. I think he's kind of a 6. I don't think he looks bad. The choker definitely throws me off. Yeah, the choker throws me off. And I get it. He's in a band, right? I get it. But that doesn't change what it is. And I still feel like it's kind of like a 6. I think we all know what this character is and what they're going for. Aggressively sexy. Like, sexy was the #1 thing on the character design archetype list that they were building. It was #1. Sexy. And then we're going to start putting some clothes on her, you know? Like, start off with this and then move from there. She at least is a very appealing looking character. Absolutely pandering, but I think it's at least in a realm of somewhat tasteful pandering. I don't even know what I'm saying, right? They're not wearing like the diamond bikini thing from DOA beach volleyball, you know? It's not going that far. It's tasteful in the most distasteful way, right? It's hard to say that I don't think it's a terrible design, and I get exactly what you're going for, and I think it's effective. Would I ever play the character very much? Probably not. Maybe every once in a while, but probably not. But I kind of like it. It's 9 out of 10. I can't believe, Chris. I just can't. I can't believe they would take this kind of direction with a KOF character. And I think like the audacity of character designers to put a character that looks like this into a fighting game is insane. Is absolutely insane. And there's so many opinions about this. I just can't even. 10 out of 10. So Athena is definitely not the worst she's ever looked. I mean, they're really going with like the whole like idol sort of like pop star thing. I don't think I like her hair. I think that's what I'm trying. I don't think I like her hair. Yeah, if there's one character that's going to consistently change substantially throughout every KOF, it's going to be Athena. Like, she always generally gets a new character design every time. She's reinvented, you know? I don't dislike it, but I don't personally like hate it. But I also don't think it's terrible, so that means it's a 6. 6 out of 10. You know what? For how weird Mai looked a little bit in KOF 14, and for essentially this being like an absolute classic fighting game character design, the fact that this character's design has remained in fighting games for nearly 30 years is fucking crazy, but also a testament that people love Mai, right? And it shows because she's cool looking, she does cool things, she's obviously supposed to have a ton of sex appeal as well. I think Mai is easily a 10 out of 10. Right, she's easily one of the greatest characters that's ever come out of KOF, if not any SNK fighting game franchise, regardless of whatever other one she started in or had appeared. Right, Mai is always like, oh, what's Mai like, you know? Yeah, I think her design's great, even though it hasn't changed very much. It's really not that different. I still think you have to respect the design for what it is. It's a cool looking character. It's sort of timeless, and I think Yuri's okay too. Like, you have, like, it's funny, they're next to each other, Mai and Yuri. They're like the polar opposite kind of characters, right? Where they're, like, literally the opposites, where it's, like, tough girl trying to do tough stuff. She's essentially the Sakura of the game in many ways, right? But she predates Sakura. So I think Yuri's good. I think Yuri's like a 7. 7 out of 10. Oh, man. And yeah, you know what? I think I feel the exact same way about Leona as I do about King. I think I feel the same way. I think she's like a 9, but if she had the old like KOF 95, 96 outfit, I can't remember what it is, the actual jacketed one, I think it looks cooler. I think she actually looks cooler that way. In fact, if it was those other ones, you know, when they eventually put it into the game, I think that's close to being a 10 out of 10 looking character. It really depends. I don't even know if it's in the game yet. Ralph. So Ralph is cool because he's essentially like a generic 80s action star. Right? That's all the Akari Warriors kind of are. They are just like SNK's version of like Commando / Sylvester Stallone action star characters. And that's still like the best part about them. I do think with these two compared to each other, I think Ralph is way cooler looking than Clark. He's just Rambo. Yeah, I get it, right? He's just fucking Rambo. But I still think it's great. In fact, I think Ralph is like an 8 out of 10. And I think Clark is like a 7. You think Clark is better? I think the bandana and all this shit and the red gloves and stuff, I don't know. It could also be because Ralph is donning more red shit than Clark is. I just personally feel that some of the design accoutrements, the fact that he's like wearing a tank top is just better. I think Ralph is an 8, Clark is a 7. Oh my god. Well, Antonov is a lot better than the previous game, I'll say that. They just literally took Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and just Macho Man and Hulk Hogan is the same person? And that was a good idea. That was definitely a much better idea than the weird blonde nipple hair that he had from the previous game. I'm actually going to give Antonov like a 9. Believe it or not. I'm giving him like a 9 out of 10. I've always been super hit or miss on Ramon. Yeah, and I don't know why. I've always been really hit or miss on his design. And he's always been like this where he has like a full bodysuit, you know? Just for the sake of like comparison's sake, I think you can take a character like Ramon and a character like El Blaze, you know? And have that sort of somewhat, I guess, like stereotypical, like the Mexican wrestler style. Super generalizing here. For these character archetypes, you have El Fuerte, Ramon, and El Blaze. And I personally feel like the luchador aspect is best suited on El Blaze. But I cannot do that for the sake of rating these designs, because we are specifically rating these designs based on this situation. So I think Ramon is like, personally, like a 4, dude. I just don't think he looks that cool. I'm kind of being harsh on him. I kind of wish he looked like some of the other luchador style wrestlers. King of Dinosaurs. So I'm gonna be the weird one out here, because the only thing we have to compare him to is Tizok, right? I'm gonna be the weird one out here and say that I think he was better as a bird. And dinosaurs are practically birds, right? I get that, okay? I get it. But I kind of like the old Tizok part of it a little bit more. I can't help it. I feel like turning him into a dinosaur or something is like super extreme and kind of crazy. Where I kind of appreciated the simple, straightforward design of Tizok, you know? I thought that was kind of neat. Granted, I don't think King of Dinosaurs is actually a bad design. I don't. But I just think it sort of rides around like a 6 out of 10 for me personally. Cronin. So what do we have this comparison to? We have K9999 and Nameless to compare this guy to. And unfortunately, K49s is always going to be the best design because it's literally a Tetsuo reference. That's always going to be the best one. But I do think this is way better than Nameless, you know? I think this is a much better look than what they were going on with Nameless for me personally. I gave Cronin like a 7. About a 7 out of 10. So here's the thing. I really don't like KULA. I really don't. I do not like the way this character looks or just her design since the very beginning of it. Since the first few games she was in, was she first introduced in like 2000 or something? Here's where my perspective changes, right? I don't personally like KULA or her design very much, and it's not a character I would ever really play. However, I do think it is a super iconic generational change for KOF and one of the better designs. I actually do think her inclusion of the game is a good setting point back when she was introduced of how KOF is changing in some of the new characters, and I think she's actually a great design that sort of shows where the franchise is kind of going. This has not changed. This doesn't seem like this has changed that much from that design. So I'm kind of basing it on that. I'd actually give KULA, if I was being artistically critical about this character, like an 8 out of 10. I think she does a pretty dang good job about like feeling like she's one of the new KOF kids, but she actually deserves a spot in here. I think she's a much better KOF kid than some of the new KOF kids, man. Right? I think she's a I'll definitely take KULA over fucking Mei Tenkun or something like that. This isn't a character I would ever play, nor one that I would really like, but I can acknowledge her addition in the game is good and she has a decent design. Not one that I would ever really appreciate personally, but I have to give it up. She deserves to be here, and if she wasn't here, it's weird. She's just not gonna wear pants. That's at the top of the list, right? She just won't wear pants. And then they start fleshing her out from there, right? They start figuring it out. She is wearing pants. Okay, sure. Right? If that's what you call pants, sure. Chat room. This is a great character design. I actually really like the boots as well. I think they look great in 3D, and if not a little bit better than the old like 2D iterations. And she's pretty cool looking too. She's definitely a pandery kind of character, right? 100%. But in the exact same way, but different tonally than like Shermie, I think Angel is just as an effective character design as something like Shermie. And I don't mean where they're just going for, our character's just gonna show a lot of skin and that's it. No, like I think Shermie actually shows some pretty cool character design things. I like the fact that you don't see her eyes and stuff like that. That's actually kind of neat. I like the fact that Angel has this fucking like these weird boots on and a half cloak, and I think it's actually balanced and it kind of makes sense. 8 out of 10. I was thinking about giving her a 9 and it felt wrong. Of all these like lewd and rude characters, nowhere close to Mai. Mai is still the one that has like an iconic character design that is obviously lewd and rude, that is obviously meant to elicit the same reactions of other characters like Shermie and Angel. However, I think this design is just way better. But I still think Angel is an effective looking character, especially design-wise, that should be here. And then Blue Mary. I don't know why in the holy hell. Who was the not Terry chick in 14? Was it Elisa? So I don't know how in the blue hell a character like Alice and Blue Mary can coexist. Because Blue Mary is just significantly better, right? And Blue Mary immediately, like raw brain reactions, like chemicals are firing, is that, oh, this is sort of like a female Terry character, right? That's what this comes across as. And then they literally add a female Terry character in KOF 14, which is really weird to me. Because I'm like, but Blue Mary is that, but like way better. At least in my head, maybe no one else has thought that way, but to me, it's always felt like, oh, Blue Mary is like the polar opposite of Terry Bogard. And I think her design is straightforward, it's simple, and effective. I think the belt is cool looking. She's got the star on her too. She literally has all the same accoutrements practically, except the jacket. But I don't think it goes all the way. I think it's an 8. A lot of these are sitting around 8s to me. There are some that are definitely different. I might want to give her a 9. I do miss her with the jacket. It's weird. Yeah, I remember her having a jacket in some of the older games, right? If she had the jacket, it's a 9. Yeah. Vanessa. So Vanessa definitely is hovering the same line as King aesthetically, you know, and I think it's this like and that's the thing. King doesn't actually have suspenders. But it looks like she does. She just has like a vest. But I think they're in the same like category, right? In the same sort of way. Oh, she's wearing sandals. That is kind of... She's definitely cool, right? She's definitely cool, but I think she's like a 7, personally. I think she's about a 7. I actually don't like her pants very much. I think she's like a 7 out of 10. I know a lot of people really like this design, but I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's amazing though. Her last colors are OG palette. Yeah, you're right. That's better. Holy shit. I actually think that's closer to an 8. I think that's better. I actually like that color palette way more too. And Luong is like I feel like Luong is definitely in the same family of Angel and Shermie and Mai in terms of like, ooh, the super sexy waifu KOF characters, you know? She's definitely there, but I don't think as good as any of those. This character's design looks like she came from a later KOF, did she? She was a 14 character, okay. So she definitely feels like a 14 design, you know? And I think that's the big issue I have with it. I think she's actually a fine character and looks cool, but nowhere near to like the classic sort of like the sexy KOF girl designs of the past. I feel like she's like a 6, maybe a 7, maybe a 6.5. It's definitely one of the better 14 designs. Oh, don't get me wrong. I think it's definitely better than most of the brand new 14 characters. I'd say a 7. Yeah, I think a 6 is too low. Now that I was saying that, I think a 6 is too low. She's cool, but it doesn't really elicit crazy reactions. Thus far, right, I think there is a big improvement, right? Just by looking at these character renders, much less the way the characters actually look in-game now. I don't think KOF characters have looked this good since KOF 13. And I would argue some character designs and some visual fidelity of some characters, I think personally even look better than they do in KOF 13. I think Terry, for example, looks better in this game than he looks in 13. Because the big comparison we have to the KOF as a series, the last time the game looked really good, which was essentially KOF 13. And some characters have gone backwards in style visually, I think. I think Ash is not nearly as good as the old 2D versions. I think this one isn't that good. But I think some characters like Iori especially look way better now. Actually would argue he looks great in 3D. So to me, I think this is SNK's best attempt at 3D character models and taking the best of the classic style and trying to merge it with something new. I think they've done a really good job. And their art style, while not being super generationally leaping, right? This isn't a graphical style that's going to set new industry standards. But I think for what KOF is, as far as having a visual identity, it manages to stay in the same look and appeal as KOF games and not look totally weird and off like 14 did. And I think it looks great. I think this game actually does have a really cool visual style. But what the hell is going on with Maximus Sideburns? Holy shit, dude.